Sorry, friends who missed the first minute because we're just now starting, but that's okay. Oh, y'all, I lost my screen. Okay, can y'all see this? Like, do y'all see the PowerPoint again? Okay. So just want to remind y'all that, like, you have to, first of all, know that the Lord has you here, and you have to believe that He's going to do a work in you and through you for the rest of this even matter. And so I love the verse in 2 Timothy. As believers, like, God has not given us a spirit of fear or timidity. Okay, I can talk. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. But of power, love, and self-discipline. And literally, that is who we are in Christ. Like, that is the spirit He has given us and He has put in us. So that spirit of fear, that spirit of just feeling like you're not equipped or you can't do that, like, that is not of the Lord. That is of the enemy. And so I just want to remind y'all that. And this is something that I have to remind myself every day. Like, the Lord has put His power, His love has given me a spirit of discipline to walk in every single day. And so that's who I am in Christ. And that's where, like, that's what I'm called to step into this business. And so I just want to remind y'all of that. First of all. Second of all, be reminded of your purpose. When we start talking about invites and posting and all of the other things, if you don't know why you're here, you're still going to struggle with those little tips and tricks that I tell you. And so I'll have this quote written down. If you're not reading the She Works His Way book with us, or if you're not reading with us or you haven't gotten it, like, I really, really encourage you to get it. It doesn't matter if you're doing the 4 weeks with us or not, but it says making disciples is our main purpose wherever we go. It's not the sidebar, an inconvenience, or an added bonus. It's the point. It's the priority. Living this way is pursuing His way over our way. And so we all have our individual purposes. We all have our specific stories that we are here to share. But at the end of the day, we're here to make disciples and to just be a light and spread His love. And so when you think about these tips and tricks I'm about to tell you, I want you to filter them through this truth that, like, at the end of the day, we're just here to serve Him and to love His people well in what we do. So take the pressure off yourself. It's not going to be perfect. It's not supposed to be. Our stories are not perfect, but that's the beauty, and just sharing our testimonies and encouraging people. And another thing real quick, and then we're going to dive into questions, I promise, but I just want to encourage y'all a little bit, is people are the point in this whole business. It's so easy to get caught up in Success Club, in rank, in all of the things. But at the end of the day, we're here to share our story and love people well. And I left out, I don't go back and read my PowerPoints, obviously, but when you start to question or feel like the task God has called you to is uncomfortable, just remember, the godly response is to believe what's possible for the kingdom. Trusting God is always working and that His purpose is stretched far beyond what we can see or feel in the moment. And so I want y'all to think through this and just show up with other people in mind. Don't get so caught up in the perfection. We're going to talk about feed posts because I had a lot of questions. It doesn't matter. Make them messy. Share your story. And just know that you're here to serve and love people and encourage them and ultimately point them back to Christ. And at the end of the day, we're not called to rest in our own strength or worry about our own rank or growth or anything else, even though goals like that are good. But we're here to literally trust in the Lord and believe that what He's going to do in and through us is so much more than we can imagine, and that it's going to build His kingdom. And Brittany and I were just talking about this. Sometimes that means seasons that are slower growth. Sometimes it means seasons that are faster growth. Don't put a label on it, but just trust that the Lord is working, and, like, His purpose is literally going to stretch so far beyond what you can see or feel in that moment. So trust that He is at work in this business. And so here's the questions we have. And then I'm going to unshare the screen because I didn't keep going on my PowerPoint. A lot of questions about the tracker. A lot of questions about what to share on Instagram. Content, tons of inviting, which I said we're going to do a separate call on that. I have a few things typed up tonight. And then a few basic questions. So I'm going to stop, share my screen real quick, and pull up my note section of all these questions so I don't skip one. Okay, I'm going to start with a really simple, I think Morgan asked this, so don't take that the wrong way, but just a basic question. In general, I'm going to answer that first and we'll go into the deeper things. But one of the questions that I think Morgan posted was, do you get commission if someone just gets bought? So as coaches, just a reminder, because I think we get so caught up in Success Club and all that, we kind of forget, like, the basics of just coaching. And for some of the newer coaches on here, we literally get commission for every single thing that's sold through Beachbody. So it doesn't matter if it's bod. We literally get commission for clothing now, which is crazy. So most of it's 25%. They do have different values given to different things depending on what it is. But yes, you get commission for literally anything you sell. So don't sell those things short. If somebody can't buy a challenge pack because financially they're not able, meet them where they're at, and give them some Energize, because maybe they're a really tired mama that just needs energy. And so I always start with challenge packs. I think that's the best option. That's the total solution, because they're getting everything. But if people can't do that, meet them where they're at. You still get commission for that. And then Amber also had asked, do you only get Success Club points for challenge packs? And so you get Success Club points for numerous things, but like it has to be a specific set of things, I'll tell you. So like just selling bod, you don't get Success Club points. Just selling Energize, all that, you get commission. You don't get Success Club points for it. There is a graphic in our Google Drive. It's in the So You're a New Coach folder. And there's a picture that shows you what you can commission for. So basically challenge packs is the easiest thing. But also if anybody buys like Shakeology, Performance Line, the Glow and Go, and I think it's like 3 boxes of beach bars, as long as you send that order on home direct, which means you click monthly shipment. FYI, I do that every single time because they get discounted shipping. So it doesn't matter. You should be clicking that. Just make sure you tell your person, hey, I put you on the monthly subscription because you got a super discounted shipping. If you want to cancel, back it up, whatever, please reach out. Let me know if you can't figure it out. Like, it's super easy. So I always tell people, but if you're sending just something plain like that, full transparency, very rarely have I done that in my coaching journey, because if they're going to pay $130 for Shakeology, most of them will pay $160 for a challenge pack and get way more. But you do get Success Club points for that. And then that's 2 points. You get 1 point if they have a combination of products, any combination that's worth 90 personal volume. Again, has to be on home direct. So always set up orders that way. So those are like 2 just simple questions that I wanted to go over real quick. Next big thing, had a lot of questions about, okay, how do you stay consistent with a tracker and it's full? Also, I'm gonna be drinking a lot of water because, sorry, I got allergies and my mouth's been dry. But here's the biggest thing I would say is, if you're really struggling with the tracker, why do you struggle with being consistent with it? Like, I know that's kind of like a, well, duh question, Jay, but I want you to think about that. Like, seriously, if you are struggling with the tracker, why do you struggle with it? Brooklyn Duffy, I'm gonna call you out. What? And I don't even know if you answered this question, asked this question, but if you're struggling with the tracker, like, why do you think you struggle with it?
I think my main thing is with, like, I get so hung up on the inviting, and it takes me like so long to do that.
We're gonna talk about inviting. So, Lauren, I know you didn't answer questions, but if somebody were to ask you, why do you struggle with consistency, like, what would be your excuse?
I think honestly, it's just thinking like the things that I'm doing, like having confidence that those things are actually going to work. Because, sometimes you just get discouraged and you're like, okay, are these like things that I'm doing? Like, am I doing them right? Just like second guessing myself, things like that.
Yeah. And those are like really good answers. And if anybody else wants to drop stuff in the chat, you're more than welcome. And so that's just a question I'd be like, okay, like, stop and reflect on why is it hard? And nobody said this, but I know I've used this, lack of time. Like, I just don't have time to get through it. And it's like in my mind, because whoever asked this question, sorry, I should have put names by it. They're like, consistency with tracker and it's full. Y'all, full transparency, we know the tracker works. That's a Beachbody thing. That is not a Fit for His Glory thing. But also at the end of the day, you have to know your season and you have to know what you're able to give. And you might not get it all done all the time, and that's okay. But consistently showing up and giving what you can is way better than nothing. Your business won't go forward if you're not looking at the tracker, just being honest. But here's kind of my thoughts and just some things I wrote down real quick is, and I think Brittany just commented something similar to this. I don't have a routine, random pieces, time and discipline, but doing time, I completed it 100%, but doing in big chunks. Yeah. And so my biggest thing is create a schedule the week ahead of time. Obviously, life looks different. Things change. Like, there might be times where you don't get it done in the time that you say you're going to. But if you will create a schedule, I was listening to a podcast the other day and they were like, it was actually talking about your workout. But I was thinking about this in my business too. It was like, write it on the calendar. Like if you're going to the dentist, it's on the calendar. If you have a full-time job, you're showing up from 7 to 4, whatever your hours are, like those are non-negotiables. Like you are putting them on your calendar, you are showing up and you're getting things done. So why do we treat our business differently? If we truly want it to grow, if we truly want this to be something that we see benefit from, like we have to be disciplined in it. Like we just have to. We're disciplined in going to work. And it's easier because this is more of a self-discipline, like you have to hold yourself accountable. But at the end of the day, if you're going to grow, you have to show up. And so put it on the calendar, make a schedule. I usually do this on Sundays and be like, okay, these are my work hours. This is my work time. Know your season. Like I said, there's been seasons where I prefer to do tracker. I prefer a whole hour and a half of work to get things done. Like that's what I prefer. Has it been that way in every season? Absolutely not. There's been seasons where I've done my whole tracker in 10-minute like pockets throughout the day. Write it down. Know when you plan on plugging in. So for example, when I did this, I would leave work in time where I knew I had 10 minutes to sit in my car before I had to walk into the hospital and clock in. For 10 minutes, I added new followers and I connected if I had time. That's what I did every morning, like in that season. And so sometimes it's just breaking things down and being like, okay, I can do this during this time. I can do that, but you still got to write it down. Sometimes pockets are more challenging. Like I would say even more so if you're working in pockets, write them down because it helps hold you accountable. And then what else did I say? Some other things I want people to think about is a lot of time we just don't have a desire to do it. Like, just to be honest, like we want the results, but we don't have a desire to put in the behind the scenes work. And so that's when I would really challenge you to go back to why are you here? Why are you doing what you're doing? I'm gonna read Lauren's thing because I don't know what she said. The tracker isn't always the most fun. Yeah, it's really not the most fun. But this is what I tell my girls, and this is what I try to like tell new coaches when they come on, is the joy in this business comes from serving people. And once you start to serve and see your community grow, like it is so fun. But just like anything, like we have to be in the trenches, like we have to be doing the behind the scenes work to get to that point. And so I think a lot of people never experience the joy in this business because they're not willing to walk in discipline in the beginning and do some things that aren't most glamorous. But it's in those things that we get to see growth. And like for me, if I didn't show up and do my tracker, I would never bring in new challengers. I would quit this business, to be honest with you, because what I love is I love to see challengers come in and be active. I love to get messages saying, hey, I did my workout 5 days a week. I lost X amount of pounds. I have literally done my Bible study 3 days a week. Like that's what fuels me. But if I didn't do the behind the scenes work, I would never have the opportunity to serve these people and see these changes. And so sometimes you just have to have this bigger perspective, especially as a newer coach. As you grow, that's one of those things where you start to realize like I'm fueled by that now. Even on days I don't feel good and don't want to, I've seen the joy and the fruit. So I'm fueled to do my tracker. As a new coach, you don't have that experience just yet. And so you really have to go back to, okay, what got me excited in my journey? Why did I choose to start showing up? And you just kind of have to create those disciplines and habits. And as you do them, I promise you, it gets easier. It's not always fun, but it's in those mundane things and those non-glamorous things that we get to experience the joy in this business. And so think about why you're here and know that this is a vital part in growing and moving forward. And here's the thing, if it's not important to you, don't do it. Like, I'm just being honest. If it's not, that sounds really like blunt, but I'm just saying, like, if you can't come up with a why that's really exciting and really important to you, then you don't have to do your tracker. Like at the end of the day, it's up to you. But if you have this goal, if you have this excitement, if you have this vision, show up and make it a priority. And yeah, that's what I would say on that. That's not really an answer other than sometimes it just takes discipline to show up and do the tracker. Action hours are huge on our team because it's just easier when you show up and you do things with other people. P.S. Lauren is taking my action up. See, she's typing it. I totally forgot that we're going through 21 days of prayer every morning when I signed up 2 months ago for January. So Lauren is taking my action hour. Jen, sometimes, wait, what did you say? I can't tomorrow.
I'm going to be on Ashton's account and she's not going to be there, so I won't be able to record it.
Oh, sorry. I was reading like, you can't leave it. I'm like, wait, what?
Oh no, I can't record it. I'm sorry. I answered hers like really quickly.
It really just depends, Jen, honestly, if the person remembers to record it, because sometimes I completely forget at 5:30. So sometimes they're posted and sometimes they're not. But if ours does not get posted, so you can go, Laura might have to correct me. I don't remember if it's the Beachbody Champions page. Is it the Champions page or it is? So
Yeah.
if you will go to the Team Beachbody Champions page on Facebook, if anybody is on here and is not a part of that, go request to join. They literally have a whole entire Facebook folder of action hours led by top coaches, or YouTube, like Brittany said. Yeah. So literally at any time you can get on and be led by an action hour. Full transparency, the one on the Beachbody Champions page, I like them, but some of them, they talk way more than I would like for them to. So sometimes I just have to like listen to them, mute them, and then like set a timer, because I can't focus if somebody's constantly talking to me. But I know for Fit for His Glory, like I love ours. It's literally, hey, do this. If people ask questions, but it's not somebody talking, it's like, hey, 10 minutes, do this. And so I also have one, and we have plenty on the Fit for His Glory team that's already recorded. You can type in like action hour or something. Just pull up one. It doesn't matter if it's 6 months ago, like pull one up and just let it lead you through. It truly is really helpful. So that was my put the excuses and distractions aside and just make yourself part of it. Preaching to myself. Yeah, it really is true though. It's not the funnest part of this business, I'm not gonna lie, but it's one of those things I encourage you to every single time you sit down to do is pray over it, and just pray for eyes to see the people the Lord wants you to. Pray for that joy and excitement, because this business truly is full of joy and excitement. But sometimes we have to get past those mundane things and find purpose in them. So that's kind of my 2 cents on consistency with the tracker. Okay, I have a lot of things I'm gonna try to go through. Had a ton of questions on posting and prepping your feed posts and all of these things about that. And so, well, I would pull up the question, but I don't want to look for it now. But a lot of questions on that, a lot of questions on how do you prep, how do you plan, a lot of questions on I want to make it look perfect. A lot of times I can't find pictures, that kind of stuff. So I'm about to just go down these little thoughts that I typed out. But when it comes to your feed and what you share, first of all, I'm going to be real honest and say, I personally think the most value, I don't know, I shouldn't say this on a recorded call. I think the most value for me though is in stories. That's where people get to know me. And so if you are super, super busy and you're struggling to get started, whether a new coach, you're just busy, showing up on your stories is what I encourage more than anything, because that's where people get to know you. But your Instagram is kind of like your storefront. Sorry. And so people come and they see your stuff. So you need something there. But my point being is if you can post consistently on stories and only post 2 days a week on feed, that's what I would say over focusing on 6 feed posts and then never showing up and actually sharing your life and behind the stories. And so this is what I would say is first figure out what's doable for you. Full transparency, if you're watching me right now, I try to post 4 to 5 times a week. If you're a newer coach or if you're busy or if that doesn't work for you, that it's fine. Consistency is more important. And the quality of what you're posting, in my opinion, is more important than the quantity of what you're posting. And so first decide like literally what's doable for you and what can you sustain? What can you be consistent with over a 6-week period? If you can do 4 posts 2 weeks in a row and then you're like, I'm worn out, I'm burnt out, then make it a goal. Like I know when I was a new coach, I think I posted 2 to 3 times on my feed as a new coach, probably more closer to 2 if I'm being honest with y'all. Because that's something that like, that's not my strong suit. I'm not a writer. It takes me time to do that. I didn't have time to figure out coaching and do that. And so I would try to do 2 or 3 quality times, show up and share people like behind the scenes on stories. And that's what I did. Different seasons bring different things. So first of all, sit down and figure out, okay, what's doable for me and what's not going to burn me out. Because if you try to overdo it, you're going to get burnt out. It's not going to be fun and enjoyable. And so just remember that like different people have different approaches. So try out a few things, figure out what works for you when it comes to posting. Someone asked about, do I have main topics I post on? This is something else that's going to be really different. Like if Kirby was on this call, her answer would be completely different than mine because we have a different personality. We have different schedules, different times that we can do stuff. But this is my thing. And maybe when I finish on this, Lauren can share her perspective. But I say pick 3 to 4 main things that you love. what makes you you. And this doesn't have to be like, I know you hear like figure out your niche and all that. And I think there's a lot of purpose and there's a lot of good in that and it works for people. Honestly, y'all, it stressed me out when I tried to talk about one thing. Like I did it for maybe 4 weeks and I quit. Cause like for me, it wasn't my personality. It wasn't fun for me. And so just know that people are going to have different takes on this, but I say pick 3 to 4 things. And so for instance, I really focus on faith, my family. I talk a lot about family, whether it's just marriage or about to be a mama. Obviously fitness is a big thing. And I talk a lot on just like consistency and discipline, just because I feel like the Lord has challenged me in that. And I feel like that's a strong suit of mine and it's not a strong suit for everybody. And so really figure out those things that you make you. A lot of people too will create a schedule. So somebody asked me this question, do you have specific days you post certain things? I personally don't, because full transparency, I'm not in a season where I can sit down and plan that much. I just can't. But I do know people, it's one of those things, if you have time, like maybe Mondays you focus on this, maybe Wednesdays you focus on this, and Friday, like if that gives you some organization and helps you focus on things, go for it. It really just depends. Honestly, like I said, I don't do that right now, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And so that's kind of one approach. Another approach that I personally go with more, especially after our diamond retreat, and there's actually a recorded call on the Fit for His Glory on this, but I really focus on using my mess and turning it into a mission. And so what I mean by that is whatever I'm struggling with, whether it's a past struggle, whether it's something that I'm having a hard time now, I pick that out and I speak to it. And this is something that like after our diamond retreat, I sat down and I made this big brain dump. Okay, like what do I struggle with? What's been hard, even if it's not right now, like what's been hard for me in the past? What have been things I've struggled with? Whether it's, I'm sorry, Brittany, you're the first one that came to my mind. So I'm just gonna say this because I know she talks about it, but like if it's you've had an eating disorder in the past, like speak on those things that have been hard for you, that have been your mess, and allow the Lord to turn that into your mission. Some people, that's not enough structure. Some of y'all are listening right now and like, oh, that's a lot to think about. Like that's too much. But for me, that brought freedom, because for me, I could sit down and be like, okay, this is what I've struggled with, or this is what I'm like my challenges right here in this season. Let's talk about those. Let's speak to those. That's easier for me than sitting down and being like, okay, have to talk about nutrition, have to talk about this, whatever. That stresses me out. Some people it works great for. So there's a few different approaches. Yeah, Brittany said I tried to share some lessons learned in part of her testimony. Also content that is educational, gives takeaways to the audience. Yeah. And so I don't know, Lauren, do you have anything you want to add to that? Or
I'll just kind of give you my 3 that I've been trying to focus on, because I'm in a crazy, well, I don't know, every season changes. And like she said, it's really important that, you're doing what you can stay consistent with. And so lately I like to do something relatable or something like personal. And that can be something funny, something like that. And then something educational, which is kind of something Brittany was just talking about, like educational. And then I talk about a problem and solution. So like, your mess, just what Shay was talking about. So those are the 3 things. And then a call to action. A call to action is also always one that I try to include, because that's really easy to invite to. So those are the 4 things that I try to stick with whenever I write down my my weekly posting schedule.
yeah, literally everybody's different. And so like, I hope you're hearing these things and like, it's kind of getting your wheels spinning and try them out. Like I said, I tried to go deep into my niche. Literally, I did it for like 3 or 4 weeks and I quit because y'all, it burned me out. I was like, I'm tired of talking about just this. Like this, there's so much more going on in my life right now. Like, but you have Kirby on the other hand, who loves it. That sets her on fire. She does an amazing job with it. And so it's really just figuring out what you enjoy. Y'all don't think too much about it. Don't stress yourself out about it. Obviously, as you grow in this business, you want to grow your reach. You want to grow your Instagram. Like those are important as you get farther along. But like in the beginning, like just share your story and have fun with it. Some other things I had written down was, this is what I do. I plan ahead. I have to plan ahead. If I did not plan ahead with posting, y'all, I would never post on my feed because I do not have time during the week to write a post. I just don't. Right now, I'm struggling to get my tracker going during the week. That's just me being fully transparent with y'all. But what I would really encourage you to do is if you're struggling with consistency, you're struggling with writing, pick one day a week that you have 1 to 2 hours to sit down and write. I know most of us take Sundays off. I personally do take Sundays off, but I always write on Sundays, like while Caleb takes a nap, except for during pregnancy. I've kind of been taking a nap too because that's real life. But like, that's what I do is I take Sunday afternoons because I don't know, there's just something about Sunday afternoons to me. Like after spending the morning at church and with our families, like that's just a good time for me to sit down and write. So that's what I do. If you would pick a time that you can sit down and pour into this, it really does help. And so think about that. Think about a time you can. And what I do to keep this organized is I have a note section on my folder. It's literally called Joyfully His Post. Well, I'm not sharing my screen right now. I was about to say I could literally show you all what it looks like. But I have that folder. I have every single post I've ever used, probably FYI, since like 2 years of coaching. About to get a new phone. So I made sure I saved that because I was like, if I lose this, I'm going to cry. But have a folder on your phone that you can write your post down in. And so that's what I do. And then like I'll put a little star or thing beside them when I know I've posted it, because I also have a ton of ideas in there. And so what I do, I have a bunch of stuff right now. I want to make sure I'm not missing something. Yeah, so what I do is all throughout the week too, I go in and put ideas. So like if I hear one of the trainers on the workout video say something, I'm like, ooh, that's a good quote. I will stop real quick, type it in my notes section. If I'm listening to personal development, I will do that. If I'm reading a book and something really sticks with me, I will literally start a new note and have all these random things all throughout the week. And so when I sit down on Sunday, I'm not sitting down with a blank canvas like, oh, crap, like what do I do? Where do I go? I'm literally taking notes of things all throughout the week that's going to like get my mind going on Sunday, if that makes sense. And also, I'm reading. I have a tab to mark my books, for instance. Yeah, like literally, I do the same thing. And full transparency, 2.5 years in coaching, I reuse posts all the time. If I'm having a Sunday where I'm super busy or I'm just like, I have no idea what to share, like my mind is blank, I will go back and I will pull a post from 2 years ago and I will read it and I will edit it. Sometimes I post them exactly if I think it's worded good. Full transparency, I've come a very long way in my posting. It used to be a hot mess. So I usually edit it now because like I've just gotten better with words and how I do that. Like, so I usually change it. And I do that. Lauren said you can make it into a reel. Yeah. Yes. I have a bunch of that written down. I'm going to say that in a minute. And so just a heads up, like that's how I organize my post. I have a note section. Do not skip your personal development. This is where 95% of my post ideas come from most of the time. Just being honest, whether it's a podcast, team call, book, like that's where I get ideas from. And so I keep in my note section. I sit down for 2 hours, hour and a half on Sunday, and I make my post. And that's where I go from there. Your picture does not have to match your post. Let go of that thought, because for the longest, I stressed about it. I would see Caroline posting all these perfect pictures and these perfect wordings that just seem to go with the pictures. And I'm like, wait, she's been doing this for 5 years. Like, let me just take a step back. It does not matter. It does not matter if you have a filter. As you grow, you can change these things, y'all. Like you can change your aesthetics. You can grow in that. But early on, if that is your focus, you are going to completely miss out on the most important things that are going to build your business and actually getting people into your community and serving them if you're so focused on that. And so just take that pressure off yourself. I know it's a hard pill to swallow if you're a perfectionist like me and you want it to be exactly like Caroline's or whoever else you're following. It doesn't have to be. And so just know that it doesn't matter what your pictures look like. A tip that I do is anytime few tips on pictures. First of all, my husband's amazing at pictures. Like he just takes good pictures. So if I have a professional looking picture, it's literally my husband and his iPhone. Thankfully, he will do that for me. But seriously though, if you're getting dressed up, you're going somewhere, don't be afraid to ask your husband or your best friend, be like, hey, look, I know this is weird, but can you take a few pictures of me? And what I do is, I have a few like top coaches that I Really, I follow like 3. I don't watch other people's stuff on Instagram because I don't have time. So if you're doing that and you're not getting your tracker done, that's just FYI, totally off subject. But if you're watching every one of mine and Lauren and Caroline's stories, you probably have at least 20, 30 minutes to pour into your business that day. So stop doing that. But I do have like 2 or 3 coaches. Caroline's one of them. I love Ashley Smith. There's a few top coaches that I will, if I've done my work, I'll get on and I'll watch their stuff. If I see a post and I like the picture, y'all, I'll save it. I have a little folder that says pictures, picture ideas. And so if I pull out, if it's Sunday, we're home from church, I'm like, hey, Caleb, can you please snap some pictures before I get into my pajamas? Because that's the only time I get ever looking nice is Sundays. And so it's things like that, like just be like, hey, can you take out a few pictures, save those ideas when you see them? So it's like, you think about them, but also know like a snapshot of a video, like of your workout video. Y'all don't know how many times I've done that. Like I videoed my workout, pull it up on my phone and pause it and go and find one that's clear and screenshot. Like it doesn't have to be professional. It doesn't have to look fancy. So do not stress out about that. Take a time where if you feel like you look nice, great, take some pictures, but also selfies are sufficient. If you look, who is it? Amber Kuiper. Y'all, she has the most mirror selfies. Yeah, that's a good one. To me, Amber, and I haven't looked at her feed in a while, but like she has some of the most like unprofessional looking pictures to me. Like she just takes random pictures of her and her kids in day-to-day life. So do not think it has to be this perfectly photographed picture. Take it, selfie it, screenshot your videos and just go for it. I promise you it's okay. If you are doing those other things in the beginning, that's going to grow your business and you're going to grow in the rest of it. So don't think you have to have your picture perfectly. And it also doesn't have to have anything to do with what you write. I've learned that. Also, if you really have no idea what to do, I do this all the time. I will type out a quote on my note section on my phone. I'll make it bold. I will literally like move it down where it's in the middle and I'll screenshot and crop. So it's literally just a white background and black words. So if at the end of the day, you have something that you're like, I really want to share, but like, I really don't have a picture and you don't want to take a random snapshot, just put words on there. It's okay. It doesn't have to be fancy. So that's my thought on that. Let's see. I've already shared that. 2 other little tips. I told you I wasn't going to make it through all of this. We're going to have to do a completely different call and invite. Sorry. But where was this at? Lauren kind of said this, but make sure you're not overthinking it. So I can't tell you how many times, and I did this Sunday. I'm like, why am I stressing? Because I can't figure out a post when I literally can go back to my archives of all my stories from last week when I shared 2 or 3 inspiring sentences on my workout videos. Like go back to whatever you're sharing on your stories and turn it into a post. It also doesn't have to be paragraphs. I struggle with that because I started out thinking I had to like write 5 paragraphs on my post because that's what Caroline did and they were awesome. And I still struggle with it sometimes, but just remember, you can literally post a quote underneath the picture with drop a star if this encouraged you today too. You know what I mean? Give credit where credit's due if it's not your quote. But also like go back to your stories, go back to your archives. If you're kind of like, what do I share? Reshare it. I'm going to talk about reels in a second because I don't hate reels, but they're not my strong suit either. And they're not something I just love to do. But I can't tell you how many times whatever I post on my reel is from a post the week before that I literally just turned it into a reel, used the same words and everything, but made a reel into it. So reuse stuff. I promise you that if somebody is paying that close attention where they say something to you about using the same content, then they should be a coach because they're watching you very closely. So reuse stuff. Don't be afraid to do that. As you're scrolling through, like if you have your few accounts that you really like to follow and if you see something that's encouraging, save it. If you have 2 or 3 top Beachbody coaches where you like to follow them, save it. Have a folder. I'm not saying go back and copy and paste their post. Please do not reuse somebody else's post. Obviously, you can repost things as long as you're giving credit, but like save those things because you'll be surprised how that gets your wheel spinning when you sit down to write and just different things that you can use. Another thing, this might not be everybody's favorite, take a bod group post. Like if there's a bod group post that you like, take it and use it. Literally, Caroline Foster did that on Friday. I saw her post like the prep plan or whatever. I'm like, hey, I just read that. And I don't even remember because I didn't read all her stuff. She might have changed it. I always tell my girls, or I tell myself like, okay, let's edit it. Let's put my voice in it, but reuse those things. The only thing that I've told, I think I had this conversation with Nikki, is just be mindful that like, if it is a devotional that someone on our team wrote. So like the, what am I trying to say? The 30-day breakaway, what was the one we did with fighting your battles? I don't know if Lauren was here and we did that. The one with 10 rounds, we literally, like our Fit for His Glory page, there's a whole posting thing. Like we wrote those devotionals, like literally wrote them from our seasons of life. And so if it's stuff like that, like I would be very mindful. But if it's the mompreneur stuff or whatever, like use it. Nobody knows. A lot of people do it anyways, if I'm being honest. Just add your own flair, add your own encouragement to it. So that's a lot, but that's a lot of my thoughts when I was doing the content. I'm gonna read some of these comments for a minute. Let's see. I struggle with comparing my posts and stuff to people like you and Lauren and Caroline and some others. Yeah, I did that for a really long time, Kelsey. Stop. That's what I'm gonna say. That's like a really easy answer, and it's like really hard to do. But seriously, if you're doing that, stop reading other people's. Like that's what I would say. Because at the end of the day, the Lord's giving you a voice, and I promise you that He's going to allow you to use it if you let Him. I'm not a writer. I've never been good at that stuff. I really stressed myself out with it in the beginning because I thought it had to be perfect. I'll be honest and say the Lord has grown me in that area. Like I feel like I've become a lot stronger. But 2.5 years ago in the coaching, I feel like I was horrible at it. And so I just started. You just have to start somewhere and you just have to let it be messy. But if you find yourself comparing, like I would really stop reading other people's things because the Lord has given you a story and a testimony to share, every single one of us. And so believe that and know that.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
And I feel like too, with that, we like once we're in our journey for a while, like I feel like you just know more things to post. Like if you're just sharing your experience and sharing how this has helped you and how it can help other people, it's like the more you're in your, the more you're on your journey, the more I feel like you also can post about. So like just, it takes time too.
Yeah. Posting is way easier for me. It's still a challenge because it's not what I'm good at, but it's way easier for me than it was 2.5 years ago because like Lauren said, like I have more of a story and a testimony to share, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's very true. Also comes back down to like, I know when I do getting started right calls with my girls, I literally tell them the first 2 things as a coach, you need to be walking your own journey and sharing that. If you are doing those 2 things, it's going to make the rest of this easier. It really will as you go on. So that's kind of, I warned y'all this was going to be a sporadic call all over the place because I was literally just jotting down thoughts to y'all's questions. Hopefully it's helpful though. Okay. Reels, I didn't put a lot on this. We kind of already talked about it. Not my strong suit. It's not something I love to do, but I do know that it does help with engagement. It helps your Instagram. So I've made a goal to do it. If you absolutely hate them, then don't do them. That's what I tell people. I do think that they help grow and help with engagement. So I've kind of made a goal to do 1 to 2 a week, which a lot of people will be like, oh, that's not near enough. But for me, that's what I can do while still enjoying what I'm doing, to be honest with you. And so what I do personally, and this is another reason I don't like to make reels, is because for me, it takes time to find them. But if I have time, like I said, this is after your tracker's done, y'all. Do not focus on this stuff if you have to do the business building things. But sometimes if I'm done and I'm on the weekend, like Kel's watching a football game, I might pull up my reels and just like scroll through. And so I have a folder called reels and I'll save them and add them. And so like, for instance, I've done a lot of pregnancy reels in the past 3 months. It's literally because I found 2 other Beachbody coaches who were expecting mamas as well. Like, I don't even know how I came across them. And I literally would go through the reels and save them. Like, that's what I would do. And change them. Some of them are the exact same, to be honest, because a lot of people do the same, like, voiceover rides and stuff. And so that's what I would do is, like, if I had free time, I'd go through and save them. And then on Sunday, while I was still dressed and, in makeup, I'd make my reels. Emily Longshore, one of Lauren's coaches, is the bomb at batch working with reels. Like, she can make reels and like that. So if you're quick at them, take some time and just get them out of the way. Like, I know a few weeks ago, I had a doctor's appointment, so I was off work and I had like 4 or 5 reels saved. And so when I got home that day, I literally made 5. So the past 3 weeks, I haven't filmed 1 reel. It was awesome. The problem is I don't always have time in my full-time work schedule and everything else to do that. But if you find time, it really is helpful to batch work them. It's just sometimes that can be a challenge depending on the season of life you're in. But that's always helpful. And then you can always film them and go back and add words later. So just know that. Yes, save them to your phone when you batch work them. Y'all, sometimes the drafts get messed up. So yeah, I would always save them. Yeah, Brooklyn said reels terrify me, but seriously, my last reel brought in so many people and it's still getting likes and follows. Like, those are people you get to go connect with. You get to start normal conversations with. And then Brittany says, do what brings you joy and doesn't stress you out. Yeah, that's so true. That's the whole point of this business. Like, I think we can get so caught up in this, like the nitty gritty things, but at the end of the day, we've got to figure out what brings us joy in this business. So that was my reels. Okay. Something else, somebody asked, how do you make a plan for the week? And what does that look like? Can you help me through your process? And so first of all, I've already said this, I write in my calendar what I cannot change. So y'all, I'm going to be in the car on the way to work, on the way back to work, at work from 7 to 4:30ish every single day. Like, that is not time where I can do my business. It's just not. So I know that. I don't try to plan anything during that time. There was a season when work was slow and I could, not anymore. So don't even set those expectations in my head. Like, I'm probably not gonna be able to respond to people at work. It is what it is right now. But make those things that are non-negotiable, put them on your schedule, whether it's work, whether it's school, whether it's church, whether it's small group, like whatever is in your life that is non-negotiable, write it down. And then what I challenge you to do is then sit down and figure out, okay, when can I work this business? So we've kind of already talked about this, like planning and the importance of it. But write it on your calendar and make a appointment with yourself. Like, I know that sounds really dumb, but if it's not on the calendar, you're probably not going to show up and do it. For me, what helps tremendously is getting it done first thing in the morning. Like, that's what I prefer. I know everybody's not a morning person. I kind of grew into a morning person, honestly, in the past 5 or 6 years. But anyways, whatever works for you. I found that if I can get up and do it in the mornings, I feel so much better. Brittany can't do that. Brittany goes into work at 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay. So I'm not saying it's doable for everybody, but for me, if I can get up and I can spend 45 minutes to an hour and getting all my tracker knocked out before I go to work, like, it's awesome, because I know I've done the things that are going to move my business forward. I don't have that in the back of my mind, like, ooh, I really need to do this. Honestly, after I get home from the hospital, sometimes I don't always want to. That's when it really takes discipline, but it's awesome if I've already done the tracker things first thing in the morning. And so if you're a morning person, you can schedule it first thing. That's awesome. Honestly, I've struggled in this season of pregnancy because I haven't been able to do mornings as much as I like, and it's been harder. So it has really reminded me of why I like getting in bed early and being able to get up is like a game changer in my business. And so make yourself a goal. My goal is like 5 times a week. So I try to schedule that in. Some of y'all, as I know in our business builders group, you're like 3 times as a new coach. That's awesome. But schedule it in, write it down. And the tracker is always, always my focus. So I've had messages, literally Caroline Kaiser, which she's not on here because has a school thing, but she messaged me a few weeks back and she was like, okay, like, how do you send out your newsletters? When do you do it? Blah, blah, blah. And I told her. And then when I got done, I said, but I'm going to be really honest with you. That should be the last thing on your mind until you've hit Success Club. Like, if you're not doing your tracker consistently every day, if you're not at Success Club, then I don't want a newsletter to even be going through your head. 2.5 years into this business, I really started doing newsletters once a month. The past maybe 5 or 6 months, I don't know how long I've been doing it. And it hasn't been as consistent because sometimes I don't have time to do it. Full transparency, I just hired somebody to help me. Like, I'm at a point in my business where I can do that. And so I'm hoping to get those out more consistently in the months to come. But that's not something I've been able to do. And so the tracker is always, always my first priority. Don't get focused on the fancy things. Don't get focused on Canva, any of those things. It really does not matter if you're not doing the tracker. So I just want to kind of remind y'all of that first, because we can get so caught up in the fancy things, but literally They don't move your business forward if you're not doing the other things behind the scenes. So that's my take on that. Any questions, Brooklyn? I think that was your question. Does that help on like how I make a plan for the week? It's really simple. Like I do not overcomplicate this. And then honestly, y'all, in my season of life, whatever I don't get done in the week, I usually spend 2 to 3 hours on Saturday if we don't have plans, because it's just me and Caleb right now. Like I can do that. Now ask me in 6 weeks when I have a baby in the house, I have no idea what that's gonna look like. But that's just kind of like I set a plan for the week. And then if I have to finish some things up on the weekends, I do. Okay. We have 9 minutes. Y'all, I'm gonna read what I wrote about inviting. I'm not gonna go into details because literally this could be an hour-long call. Part of me was like, maybe you should just do inviting tonight, because I feel like that was the biggest question. I know a lot of y'all have questions on it, but then I really wanted to hit on some of these other things too. So I knew I couldn't do it all in one night. Here's my thoughts on inviting. First, are you walking your own journey? Like, I know you're probably like, what the heck? Like, I need to know how to invite. But seriously, if you're struggling with inviting, I want you to stop and be like, am I walking my own journey? Do you believe in what you have to offer? Are you having fun? Are you getting results? Are you loving this community? Are you engaging in the community? If you're not doing that, then inviting is going to feel very salesy and very fake. And so your journey is first priority, because then, and I think Michelle said something like this other night, then you're not selling. Like you're literally showing up, sharing, and just excited to like bring other people into what you're doing because it's working for you, because you're having fun, because you have an amazing community. And so that was my very first thought is, are you showing up on your own journey? If inviting is hard, are you doing that? And are you sharing that? And then think about things. Why did you join this community? Why are you still here? Like sometimes we just need to sit down and we need to brain dump those things, because that's going to make inviting so much easier. I know why I joined this community. I joined this community because I had done Beachbody on my own for 10 years. And I saw this girl sharing the exact same workouts I was doing, showing up, being consistent, but I saw a different light in her eyes. I saw a different purpose in health and fitness. And it challenged me to reflect on, why am I showing up? Like, why am I steering my body well? Am I worried about looking a certain way? Or am I truly finding joy in this journey? That's why I joined this community. Why am I still here? Because the Lord has literally changed my life and has used Beachbody in this community as a vessel. It wasn't Caroline who changed my life. The Lord did that. But I entered into this community who put the focus on Christ, that challenged me in my walk with him. And I can firsthand say that I walked through some of the hardest seasons of my life ever after joining coaching. And this community was the biggest encouragement. I had the biggest prayer warriors. It literally was one of my rocks during that season. And that's why I'm still here, because if I can do that for one other person, then this whole entire, like my tracker for 5 days a week is worth it. If I can be the light in someone else's life that this community was in mine, when I probably would have given up on a lot of things during that season. And so it's one of those things like, and this comes back to what Lauren said, this comes as you stick with it, as you engage with the community, as you share your story, like this kind of stuff gets easier. But even as a new coach, why did you join? Like reflect on those things, think on those things. And at the end of the day, if you truly love what you do and you simply share it, and you want to share, like you want to share that gift with others. So stop being afraid of being salesy. I think that's such a big thing we have with inviting. So, oh my gosh, they're going to think I'm being salesy. Well, if you're showing up consistently and you're sharing your journey, then you have a heart to serve people. And so think about that when you go into inviting. Conversations behind the scenes are so important. So important. I remember, and a lot of y'all, I know some of Lauren's girls, most of my girls know, but like there's a season where I was about to quit Beachbody because there's things in my personal life that got way too hard. And I was struggling to show up in Beachbody because of everything else that was going on. And I remember having a call with Caroline. I was like, hey, I need to talk to you on my way to work one day. Like, I just need to talk. I was like, I love this community. I love coaching, but this is what's going on. And I don't have the mental capacity to show up and do my tracker. Like, I just don't. Like, I've got to focus on this. And I'll never forget, we had this conversation about a lot of things. And she told me, she said, Shay, set yourself a goal to have a conversation with one person today. Like every single day, that's your goal. And y'all, I kid you not, for probably 2 months, maybe not that long, but it feels like that long. That's literally all I did for my tracker. I'm not saying use that as an excuse and be lazy, but I am saying what I did was I connected with people. I had conversations with people, and that's all I did for a little bit because that's all I had the capacity to do. And so if you are having conversations behind the scenes with people, inviting is going to be so much easier because then you're not showing up and just trying to invite somebody to a group. You're literally going off of relationships you've already built. And so if you're a newer coach on here, this is what I tell my girls. When you are newer, most of the time you're bringing on people you already know. You're bringing on family, friends, people you went to college with, people you have relationship with, because it's easy to reach out to them and be honest, be like, look, I just started this. My new coaches know this because I literally use this example all the time, but you can literally say, look, I just started this. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm excited. And this is why I decided to coach. Like, will you be in my group this month? Like, will you support me? You can do that to people you already know. But from day one, you need to start having conversations, welcoming your new followers, commenting on their stories, commenting, like spend 15, 20 minutes a day, just connecting. It doesn't have to be anything about fitness. It's literally just connecting with them, getting to know them, asking them questions, starting up conversations, just being a real person. And then if you're doing that from behind the scenes every day, at least 15, 20 minutes a day, 10 minutes, whatever you can give, then 3 or 4 months down the road, that's going to be a genuine invite where you literally can reach out and be like, I have loved, and I'm not saying invite just to know, like just to do this. It doesn't always happen, but more times than not, when you have created that relationship, then it's a lot easier to be like, hey, like I'm actually starting a new group. I've really enjoyed getting to know you. I think you would love this for XYZ because you know them, you know what to put in that. And so conversations are huge. Lauren said, yeah, on a day when you're just surviving, connect. Y'all, full transparency, that's what I'm going to be doing 90% of this month because we're going through 21 days of prayer. I'm about to have a baby in 4 weeks. Like I told Britt this while ago, like that might be all I get done most of the time this month. And I'm okay with that. Like I said, don't ever hear things and allow that to let you be lazy, but also know that it's real life. And like, I don't get all my connecting every single day, but been there that month I was dealing with a baby. Yeah. So literally that's all I've done for my beach body day. If y'all want to be honest, if you want me to be honest, I've connected with people for 30 minutes. But conversations are important. My goal as a new coach was 5 to 10 new conversations a day, whether that was starting them through somebody's Instagram story I commented on, whether that was welcoming them as a new follower, whatever it was. So that's going to make invites easier. And then I said, invites get easier, trust me. You will find your way, your words, and be able to speak to others through your story if you stay consistent and keep doing the scary thing. It's going to sound like a jumbled mess at first. There are, and I don't know if it's in the Fit Towards Glory Drive, it should be, but I know for my girls in our So You're a New Coach folder, I have a folder called Conversations. There are literally 2 documents with invite scripts. I personally do a lot more voice messaging now, but that's because I've been doing this for 2.5 years and I can do that easily. Sometimes you just kind of got to get used to that. Like, how do I word things, that kind of stuff. So there's scripts on our Google Doc if you need some guidance on how to invite. I could go into this a lot deeper, but we literally have 1 minute left. So this is like just my few little snippets off the bat. Somebody said also they feel like they say no for other people. You cannot say no for other people. If you say no for them, then it's an automatic no. Like they're not going to join your community because in your mind, you've already said no. And so really step outside your comfort zone and just ask and just be real. And then another thing I put down was invites have to be happening behind the scenes, but if you're not sharing publicly, it's not going to feel genuine. And that's where a lot of people just don't do it because they're like, this doesn't feel real. But if you are sharing on your Instagram and those people are there and they're following along, like it should be real. You know what I mean? Like it shouldn't be that scary because they're watching. I'm gonna read these comments real quick. 12 ongoing conversations, but I can't figure out how to keep more than that going. I'm having real conversations, but having difficulty turning those into invites. Yeah, I'm with Britt. My goal is to never have an empty inbox. I know people say empty your inbox. I personally never empty my inbox. I just answer as many as I can in my time frame and go with it. But as far as like trying to figure out how to turn those into invites, I think you're probably overthinking it. And so literally when you have a group going, you can always just pause that conversation and be like, hey, not trying to change subject. Like, I know this is super random, but like, it's been really fun getting to know you. I'm about to kick off this new group and I really think it'd be something you would enjoy. I'd love to like get to know you more through that. Would you be open to me sending you details? And then literally go right back to your conversation. I can't tell you how many times I do that. And sometimes it goes somewhere and sometimes it don't. I just keep connecting. But don't overthink it. Like, seriously, don't overthink that. Can't figure out how to keep more than that going. I think that comes back to constantly like setting aside a time. I'm going to take 10 to 20 minutes today and I'm going to connect. So something I do a lot of times is connect through Instagram stories. I'll go and comment on other people's. Sometimes when I feel like I'm in a dry season, I don't know where to go with connecting. I will go to my followers list and start at A and literally just go down the list. And if they have a story, comment on it. If they have a post, sometimes I'll send them a direct message back. Hey, I just saw your last post. Like, random stuff. Just start connecting with people if you feel like you're kind of in a dry season with messages. I'm reading through this. Yeah, I like what Britt said too. Just how she sends voice messages and how she's intentional about those. Polls are great combos. Yes. I've kind of gotten out of the habit because I've just gotten busy, but like polls that are dumb, I know that's for lack of better words, but like polls that make no sense, that have nothing to do with health and fitness, like that's where I start 95% of my conversations. Also, y'all, consistency in this. That's where you grow. Rarely do I sign up a customer who I've just been connecting with for 1 month, just being honest. This month, I've already hit Success Club. 2 of those girls, y'all, were from people that I have invited 2 or 3 times. I've connected with them for 2 years now, and the time was right. And they reached out and was like, hey, I think I want to, you know what I mean? You never know. Consistency in this business is huge. See if I missed anything. Save them to your phone when you batch them. Oh, sorry, I've gone back too far. That's Reels. Okay. So that was like super fast. And I want to spend more time on inviting. I don't know. I'd have to look at Caroline's call schedule. I don't remember if she has 2 more calls. If she only has 1 more, we might do it at the end of the month. We'll see. But regardless, we'll kind of do something more. Maybe Lauren and I can team up and do an inviting call next month. Because I think that would be helpful and like literally going through and showing y'all examples and walking through. Perfect. Okay, Lauren, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I'm supposed to have a baby at that point. So we're making this plan. We're going to stick to it, but you might have to remind me. Okay. Well, that's all I've got. Like I said, I told y'all this is going to be all over the place. I hope that at the beginning, it kind of encouraged you to really take a step back and remind you why you're here and what the Lord has called you to. And just, at the end of the day, I know for years and years and years, I struggled with belief. And it all came back to knowing who I was in Christ. And so I just want to say this because this is on my heart. Prioritize your time in the Word and your time with the Lord. Just do that. If you have 15 minutes, I really do not want you to spend them sending invites if you have not spent time with the Lord that day. So first of all, start there, because that's where the transformation in my life changed. That's where that boldness and confidence came, even in this business. And so start there, but hopefully that beginning part was encouraging, and I tried to answer most of y'all's questions. So if y'all have any other ones, or if y'all have ones like for Lauren, text us. We can always chat. Sorry, Lauren, I kind of made you tag team this call last second a little bit. I put you on the spot, but I'm glad y'all got to get on. It was fun.
Literally at the last minute.
I told you, I was like, just don't judge me, because this is not a formal call. This is literally like, I let my girls just drop questions and we just went for it.
Girl, those are the best, honestly. Sometimes those are the best calls.
I really did have a formal. I honestly was going to do a formal one, and no lie, my team was awesome and asked a bazillion questions. And so I had way more, like there's other things I tried to touch on. I probably missed some because there were so many. So if I did not, for my girls or whoever, if I didn't hit something, if I missed something, drop it in the business splitters thread. I still have to go back and answer. I know Jen said something earlier. If I don't remember her question, I still got to go back to it. Anyways, thank y'all for getting on. I hope that was helpful and encouraging. Morgan says she's trying to be a sponge. Yes, be a sponge, but also don't be so much of a sponge that you don't put anything to action. So like take things and start taking some messy small steps too. But okay, I'm gonna let y'all go because we are over our time. I will say a little prayer for us. Will somebody get a picture because my phone's dead? I don't even care who does it.
I can do it.
Okay.
All right. Are we going to do a boomerang or just a normal one?
My girls are like, boomerang, because I do it every time and I usually mess it up. But yeah,
right.
It'll be fun for me to participate this time.
All right. Let's do a boomerang. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. Yay! I love it. Okay.
Thanks, Brent.
I will send it to Shay and she'll send it to y'all.
Yes, I will. I will. Thank you. Okay, girls. Well, let's say a little prayer and we will go. I love y'all. Thank y'all for getting on here. It's always encouraging from our standpoint. Trust me. So you taking time to be on here is, it just like, that's something else that lights my fire as a coach. So thank you. But let's pray. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight, and I'm just so grateful for just who you are, God, for your goodness, for your love, for your mercy. God, I thank you for just the identity that you have given us through your Son, and just the ability to walk in that boldness and confidence that comes only from you. And so, God, I just pray that over these girls tonight, Lord, that we would take a step back, that we would not be timid, that we would not be fearful in this business, but we would truly step into the calling that you have called us to, Lord, and that we would just get uncomfortable and walk this journey with you, because I know it's scary and I know there's a lot of unknowns, and the enemy can come in and give us a lot of things to make us feel discouraged or unequipped. But Lord, I know and I trust that whatever you call us to, you're going to equip us for. And the only result that can come from that, if anything else, is just growth, Lord, growth in just who we are, growth in our walk with you and belief in that. And so, Lord, that's our primary purpose here. And other than that, God, I pray that you would equip us just to love and serve your people well. What a joy it is to serve women through health and fitness. And it's crazy, and it probably looks crazy to some people in the outside world, but we know, because we have seen it firsthand, just the fruit that you can bring from it. And so, God, we praise you for that. God, I pray for these girls as they go throughout the rest of this week. Lord, as they go throughout their daily lives, whether it's in work or family or church or motherhood or whatever it is, God, I pray that you would just grace them to do that and to do that well. And as they go forward into their business this year, God, I just pray blessing over them. I pray that you would just encourage them, that you would help them to remain disciplined, because that is literally the spirit that you've given us, is self-discipline. That's it. There's no other excuse, no other explanation. Literally, you have called us to walk in discipline. And so, God, I pray that we would just be reminded of that, and whatever that looks like for us, that we would step into it. God, we love you. We thank you. We pray, Lord, that as we go throughout our week, we would just be a bright, shining light for you. In Jesus' precious and holy name we pray. Amen. All right. Bye, girls.
Shay, can I have the recording for my girls? A lot of them have been asking.
Yes. I will share it. It might be in the morning, full transparency, but if I don't send it by tomorrow afternoon, text me.